I 19F have been dating my boyfriend Jake 18 meters for 2 years now. We met during sophomore year of high school in our shared chemistry class. I was struggling with the subject, and he offered to help me study. We spent hours together in the library, and what started as tutoring sessions turned into genuine friendship and eventually love. Jake was different from other guys. He was kind, patient, and never afraid to show his emotions. From the beginning, our relationship felt perfect. We shared similar interests in music, spent weekends playing video games together, and could talk for hours about anything and everything. Most importantly, we both valued physical touch as our primary way of showing affection. In high school, we were known as that couple who always held hands in the hallways, hugged between classes, and wasn't afraid to show our love. During our junior year, Jake's friends would sometimes tease him about being too affectionate. They'd make immature jokes or mock him for being whipped. When this happened, he would distance himself physically from me until his friends left. I never made a big deal about it because I understood, teenage boys can be immature, and I figured they would grow out of this behavior after graduation. Jake would always make up for it later when we were alone, being extra affectionate and apologizing for his friends' behavior. We both applied to several universities, but our dream was to attend state university together. When we both got accepted, it felt like everything was falling into place. We spent the summer planning our class schedules, discussing which dorms to choose, and dreaming about our future college life together. Jake's mom Susan 43F even helped us coordinate our dorm selections to make sure we were in buildings near each other. My best friend Sarah 19F also got accepted to state university, which made everything even better. We've been friends since middle school, and she's always been supportive of my relationship with Jake. Sarah recently started dating Tom 20 meters, who she met during freshman orientation. They hit it off immediately, and Sarah was excited for us all to hang out together. We planned a double date at this new Italian restaurant near campus that everyone had been talking about. The double date was when I first noticed something was seriously wrong. From the moment we met up, Jake was acting strange. He arrived late and chose to sit across from me instead of next to me like he usually would. Throughout dinner, I tried to hold his hand across the table, but he kept finding excuses to move his hands away, checking his phone, adjusting his napkin, or gesturing while talking. When I moved my foot to play footsie under the table like we often do, he pulled his feet back. What made it worse was watching Sarah and Tom together. They were clearly in the honeymoon phase, sharing food, whispering to each other, and being adorably couple-like. Meanwhile, Jake kept creating physical distance between us. When we all decided to take a walk around campus after dinner, Jake walked ahead with Tom, leaving me behind with Sarah. Every time I tried to catch up and walk beside him, he would speed up or fall back to talk to someone else. I felt like a third wheel at my own double date. The final straw was when we stopped for ice cream. Sarah and Tom shared a sundae, feeding each other bites and being cute. When I suggested Jake and I share one too, he quickly ordered his own cone and walked outside to eat it. I could see Sarah giving me concerned looks, but I tried to play it off like everything was fine. After the date, I waited until we were alone in my dorm room to confront him. I asked him directly if he was embarrassed to be seen with me. At first, he tried to brush it off, saying he was just trying to get to know Tom better. But when I pressed him about his behavior, he finally broke down and told me the truth. Apparently, when he first showed his dad John 45 meters a photo of me last year, his dad had a lot to say about my appearance. According to Jake, his dad said I wasn't what he expected his son to date. He made comments about my nose being too big, my fashion sense being too casual, and how I wasn't conventionally attractive enough for their family. He even suggested that Jake was settling because he hadn't met enough girls yet. Jake admitted that his dad had been making these comments throughout our relationship. Whenever Jake posted photos of us on social media, his dad would make subtle digs about my appearance. He would compare me unfavorably to Jake's ex-girlfriend Emily, who according to him was much prettier and more put together. John would even show Jake photos of his colleagues' daughters or his friends' nieces, pointing out how they would be better matches for him. The more Jake talked, the more I realized how deep this issue went. His dad had been actively undermining our relationship for months, maybe even years. Jake said that while he doesn't agree with his dad's opinions, the constant comments had gotten into his head. He admitted that he sometimes feels self-conscious about being seen with me in public, especially around new people like Tom, because he can hear his dad's voice in his head judging us. I've always struggled with my self-image. In middle school, I was bullied for my appearance, and it took years of support from my mom and friends to build up my confidence. Jake knew about this history, which made his revelation even more painful. Now, every insecurity I thought I had overcome is resurfacing. I find myself avoiding mirrors, overanalyzing every photo of us together, and comparing myself to every girl we pass on campus. Jake apologized profusely and promised to work on being more affectionate in public. He said he loves me regardless of what his dad thinks and that he'll try to stand up to his dad's comments. But I don't know how to move forward from this. Every time we're together now, I wonder if he's thinking about what his dad said. When we visit his house for Sunday dinners, I feel John's judgmental eyes on me, analyzing every flaw in my appearance. My mom thinks I'm being too sensitive about this. She says all parents have opinions about their kids' partners and that I should focus on my relationship with Jake, not his dad. Sarah suggested I should confront John directly and tell him how his comments have affected me. But neither of them seems to understand how deeply this has wounded me. How can I have a future with someone whose family thinks I'm not good enough? How do I rebuild my self-confidence when I know my boyfriend's father is actively judging my appearance? Most importantly, how do I trust that Jake truly finds me attractive when he's clearly influenced by his dad's opinions? I love Jake, and our relationship was so perfect before this. But now I can't help wondering if love is enough when there's so much judgment and disapproval from his family. Am I overreacting to these comments, or is this a sign of deeper problems to come? Update: when it's been 2 weeks since my original post, and things have taken an unexpected and disturbing turn. I tried to follow the advice many of you gave about focusing on myself and not letting John's opinions affect my relationship. Jake and I had several long conversations about this, and he seemed committed to being more supportive and standing up to his dad. Last weekend, Jake's cousin Emma 19F came to visit from across the state. She recently got accepted to State University and wanted to tour the campus. Jake suggested we all hang out at his parents' house since Emma was staying there. I was nervous about being around John, but I wanted to make a good impression on Emma since she'd be joining us at university next semester. When I arrived at Jake's house, Emma was already there. She seemed really nice and we hit it off immediately. We discovered we had similar taste in music and both played volleyball in high school. For a while, everything was going great. We were all sitting in the living room, sharing funny stories and looking at old family photos that Emma brought. Then John came home early from work. The atmosphere in the room instantly changed when he walked in. He looked surprised and somewhat annoyed to see me there. At first, he just made small talk with Emma about her college plans, but then he started making these subtle yet cutting remarks. He began by asking Emma if she remembered Jake's ex-girlfriend Emily from the family reunions. When Emma said yes, John pulled out his phone and started showing her photos from past family events where Emily was present. He kept pointing out how photogenic Emily was and how she always knew how to dress appropriately for family functions. The whole time, he was throwing these quick glances in my direction, clearly trying to draw comparisons. I was wearing my usual casual outfit, jeans and a sweater, and suddenly felt completely underdressed. John made a point of mentioning how Emily always wore dresses to family gatherings and how she came from a family that understood social etiquette. Each comment felt like a deliberate jab at my middle-class background and casual style. But what happened next was even worse. John started talking about how Jake and Emma would make such an attractive couple. He wasn't even trying to be subtle anymore. He literally said, "You two would make such gorgeous babies. Those family genes would really shine through." Then he added that it wouldn't be weird for them to date since they're not blood related, as Emma is his wife's sister's daughter. The whole time this was happening, Jake just sat there silently. Emma looked incredibly uncomfortable and kept trying to change the subject, but John wouldn't let up. He went on about how important it is to maintain certain standards in relationships and how some people just understand the importance of family connections better than others. I couldn't take it anymore. I mumbled something about having to study and left the house in tears. Neither Jake nor anyone else tried to stop me. As I was driving home, I got a text from Emma apologizing for her uncle's behavior, but nothing from Jake. Later that night, around 11 p.m., Jake showed up at my dorm. I expected him to apologize and comfort me, but instead, he started talking about how stressed he's been lately. He said he feels torn between his family and me, and that maybe we should take a break to figure things out. Then he dropped a bombshell: his dad had threatened to stop paying for his college if he continues dating me. The next day, I was trying to process everything at the campus coffee shop when Emma walked in. She saw me and came over to talk. What she told me made everything so much worse. Apparently, this wasn't just about John's superficial issues with my appearance. He had been planning this for months. Emma revealed that John had been sending her photos of Jake since last summer, trying to spark her interest. He would text her about how smart and handsome Jake was becoming, and how wonderful it would be to keep successful relationships within their social circle. He had even manipulated the situation so Emma would choose State University, telling her about all the networking opportunities she'd have with their family connections here. Emma felt guilty about the whole thing. She showed me some of the messages John had sent her, talking about arranging social events where she and Jake could get closer. He had been telling her that Jake's relationship with me was just a phase and that Jake needed someone more suited to their family's social status. Jake's mom Susan called me yesterday, supposedly to apologize for her husband's behavior. But even her apology felt backhanded. She kept saying things like, "You're such a sweet girl and sometimes first loves aren't meant to last." Then she suggested that maybe Jake and I should see other people during college to grow as individuals. It was clear she was just trying to find a polite way to end our relationship. I feel completely blindsided by all of this. What started as hurtful comments about my appearance has evolved into something much more calculated and manipulative. John isn't just a judgmental father, he's actively trying to break us up and orchestrate his own version of Jake's love life. The worst part is Jake's passive response to all of this. He hasn't stood up to his dad once. Instead, he's letting himself be manipulated by threats about his college funding. I'm starting to wonder if he's actually conflicted about our relationship or if he's just using his dad's disapproval as an excuse to explore other options. I don't know what to do anymore. Part of me wants to fight for our relationship and prove them all wrong, but another part of me is exhausted from constantly feeling judged and unwanted. How can I compete with someone they've literally been grooming to be Jake's perfect match? Should I even want to? Most of the comments on my original post suggested I should focus on my own worth and not let John's opinions affect me. But how do I do that when it's becoming clear that this isn't just about my appearance anymore? This is about social class, family connections, and a level of manipulation I never expected to encounter in my first serious relationship. Update 2: It's been a month since my last update, and I've uncovered some truly disturbing information that has changed everything. After Emma revealed John's attempts to set her up with Jake, I started paying more attention to Jake's behavior. I noticed he was being increasingly secretive with his phone, always placing it face down and stepping away to answer calls. He was also spending a lot more time at his parents' house despite our ongoing issues with his dad. Last week, my friend Sarah saw Jake having lunch with Emily, his ex, at a small cafe about 20 minutes from campus. This wasn't just a casual run-in, they were sitting close together in a corner booth for over 2 hours. Sarah took a photo and sent it to me immediately. When I confronted Jake about it, he initially tried to deny it. But when I showed him Sarah's photo, he broke down and admitted that his dad had been arranging these meetings for weeks. According to Jake, John had reached out to Emily's parents about a month ago, expressing concern about Jake's state of mind in college. He told them Jake had been struggling to adjust, a complete lie, and suggested that reconnecting with Emily might help him feel more grounded. Emily's parents, who had always been close with John and Susan, agreed to encourage the reunion. While Jake was trying to explain this to me, making it sound like he was an unwilling participant in his dad's schemes, I received a message from Emily herself. She had apparently been feeling guilty about the situation and decided to tell me everything. She sent me screenshots of her conversations with Jake going back several months, long before John supposedly reached out to her parents. The screenshots painted a completely different picture than what Jake had told me. He had been actively messaging Emily since the summer, telling her he missed her and that breaking up was the biggest mistake of his life. There were messages where he called our relationship a rebound and said he never got over her. He even complained to her about how his dad kept comparing us, saying his dad was right about me not fitting in with their family. What made me feel physically sick was finding messages from before Emma's visit, where Jake and his dad were coordinating this whole plan. John would create opportunities for Jake to meet with Emily or Emma, and Jake would use these meetings as excuses to distance himself from me. They had even discussed how to handle the eventual breakup, with John suggesting they wait until after midterms so it wouldn't affect Jake's grades. The most infuriating revelation came during a call with Susan. She had called my mom to discuss the situation, not knowing I was at home. During their conversation, she accidentally revealed that they had set up a trust fund for Jake's education when he was born. John had no actual control over Jake's college funding. It was all a lie to manipulate me into being understanding about his distant behavior and to make me feel guilty about causing family tension. When I called Jake to confront him about all this, his response was pathetic. He tried to claim that his dad had pressured him into messaging Emily, that he was confused about his feelings, and that he never meant to hurt me. But then he slipped up and mentioned something about Emily's upcoming internship at his dad's firm, an opportunity that had apparently been part of their plan all along. Everything suddenly made sense. John's initial comments about my appearance weren't just about looks. They were the beginning of a calculated plan to push me out of Jake's life and replace me with someone who could benefit their families socially and professionally. Jake wasn't just a victim of his father's manipulation, he was an active participant in this scheme. The real kicker came when I logged into Instagram later that night. Emily had posted a photo of her and Jake from that cafe, captioned "Sometimes things work out exactly as they're meant to." Jake's dad had already liked and commented on it, welcoming her back to the family. The post was less than an hour old, which meant Jake had gone straight from denying everything to me to publicly flaunting his relationship with Emily. I feel completely stupid for not seeing this sooner. All those times Jake was dealing with family pressure or trying to keep the peace with his dad, he was actually building his exit strategy. He used my insecurities about my appearance and my understanding nature against me, making me feel like I was the problem while he orchestrated this entire situation with his dad. I'm writing this update partly because I need to process everything that's happened, but also as a warning to others. Sometimes when someone shows you their true colors through small actions, like letting their family disrespect you or failing to stand up for you, it's not just about that isolated incident. It can be a sign of much deeper issues and betrayals happening behind the scenes. Update 3 months have passed since my original post, and I wanted to provide a final update to this whole situation. After discovering Jake's deception, I ended things immediately. The breakup was messy. Jake kept showing up at my dorm unannounced, trying to explain himself and blame everything on his dad's influence. But I'd seen enough of his true character in those text messages to know this wasn't just about parental pressure. Emily reached out to me again about 2 weeks after the breakup. She was feeling increasingly guilty about her role in everything and wanted to share more details. We met for coffee off campus, and she revealed the full extent of John's manipulation. Apparently, my appearance was just the surface-level excuse. John had a whole strategic plan to make sure Jake ended up with someone from their social circle who could benefit their family business. Emily explained that her father and John had been business partners for years, and her upcoming internship at their firm was part of a larger plan to merge their family companies. John had similar arrangements in mind with Emma's family. Her parents are apparently influential in real estate development, another industry John wanted to break into. What hurt the most was learning about all the family events I was deliberately excluded from. There were weekend trips, dinner parties, and social gatherings where Emily was invited instead of me, all while Jake told me he was busy with family obligations. These events were essentially networking opportunities disguised as family functions, and Jake had been actively participating in this charade for months. Sarah has been incredibly supportive through all of this. She helped me move to a different dorm building to avoid running into Jake, and she's been introducing me to new people through her study groups. Tom even helped me file a complaint with campus security after Jake wouldn't stop showing up at my old dorm. Jake and Emily are officially dating now, and they make sure everyone knows it. They're constantly showing PDA around campus and posting couples photos with his family. John regularly comments on their social media posts about how perfect they are together. Susan even hosted a formal dinner to welcome Emily back into their family, inviting all their business associates to celebrate. I won't pretend this hasn't affected me. Some days are harder than others, especially when I see them around campus or hear about their relationship from mutual friends. But I'm focusing on myself now. I joined the campus photography club and made new friends who don't know anything about this drama. I've also been spending more time with my mom, who finally understands why this situation was so devastating after learning the full story. Last week, I ran into Emma at the library. She's transferred to a different university for next semester, apparently deciding she wants nothing to do with her uncle's manipulation. She apologized again for her part in everything and warned me that John had similar plans for several of Jake's future girlfriends before he even met me. It was never about my appearance. I was just another obstacle in John's grand plan for his son's life. The most valuable lesson I've learned from all this is to trust my instincts. Those early comments about my appearance should have been a red flag, not something to work through. Someone who truly loves you would never let others diminish your worth, especially not their own family. I deserve someone who's proud to be with me, regardless of what anyone else thinks or what business opportunities they might be missing out on. I'm not dating right now, and I'm okay with that. I'm focusing on my studies and rebuilding my self-confidence. But next time, I'll remember that love shouldn't come with conditions about social status or family connections. And I definitely won't ignore red flags just because someone apologizes and promises to do better. This will be my final update. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this journey. I'm not fully healed yet, but I'm getting there, and I'm stronger for having gone through this experience.